want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Hi there, it's Stephen and Anne.
At breakfast from 6 a.m, you'll always be caught up with everything you need to know, the latest headlines, opinions and debates.
We'll bring you the good news and the bad, but most of all, we're here for you.
Remember, send in your views and let us know what you would like us to talk about.
That's because we're your news channel. And every morning at 6 a.m, it's breakfast on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Hello there, good evening. You're watching GB News. I'm Bethany Elsey, here to bring you up to date from the newsroom. The man accused of stabbing author Sir Salman Rushdie has pleaded not guilty on charges of attempted murder and assault. 24-year-old Hadi Mattar appeared at court earlier after allegedly attacking Sir Salman on stage in New York State yesterday. The 75-year-old remains in hospital on a ventilator. His agent says he may lose an eye and that he sustained nerve and liver damage. He's faced several death threats over his writing, most notably from Islamists in 1989 over the publication of the Satanic Verses. Imam Ibrahim Mogra says Muslims he's spoken to condemn the attack.
No one wanted to see that happen. That's not what Islam condones. We are not allowed to take the law into our own hands. Vigilantism is not permitted. And I don't know of anyone who is rejoicing from news of what has happened.
Rail industry bosses and the union group ASLEF are expected to hold formal talks next week over strike action that left most of the UK network crippled today. Drivers at 9 train companies walked out in a dispute over jobs, pay and conditions. Picket lines were set up in several areas, including Ashford, London, Hull, Manchester and Liverpool. ASLEF claims their drivers haven't had a pay increase for 3 years. The Environment Agency is warning current drought conditions in England could last through to next year. England is experiencing its driest summer for half a century, and officials say it would take weeks' worth of rain to replenish water sources. Extreme heat is expected to continue in the south, while the north will experience thunderstorms and floods over the next couple of days. The Met Office has issued amber weather warnings, and meteorologist Dan Stroud says the UK is currently at increased risk of wildfires. And an 82-year-old man has climbed the final mountain in his challenge to bag all of Scotland's 282 Munros. Nick Gardner was greeted with a piper and a guard of honour from fellow climbers who cheered him on as he reached the summit of Cairngorm earlier today. The grandfather of 4 has spent the last 2 years climbing the highest peaks and raising money for charities, Alzheimer's Scotland and the Royal Osteoporosis Society.
What I wanted to do was increase awareness, and I've done it. So that's been successful. Yeah, the fact that the challenge has been successful is immaterial. The fact that I've made the public more aware of these diseases, that's the real success to me.
Absolutely brilliant. On TV, online, in DAB+ radio, this is GB News. Now let's get over to headliners.
I'm Mark Dolan, and a warm good evening to you, and welcome to Headliners, your first look at tomorrow's papers. Tonight, in the company of the brilliant comedians Lewis Schaefer and Leo Kearse. Now, let's get to the front pages as they give themselves a round of applause. Blimey, they'll be laughing at their own jokes in a minute. And we'll start with the Daily Telegraph, and here's what the Telegraph have to offer. A variety of stories. Sanction Iran over Rushdie stabbing, says Rishi Sunak, the Tory leadership hopeful. Liz Truss could scrap £400 energy bill help for the higher paid. And ministers must overrule NIMBYs and build reservoirs to beat drought. The Observer next. We've got The Observer. Where should we go next, Faye? Let's go to The Independent next, if we can. And this story is another important one. Power stations could be shut off to ration supplies. Government to war game ways to cope with the winter energy crisis. Also, Rushdie suspect charged over attack. Hadi Matar, pictured being arrested on Friday, was charged with the writer's attempted murder. As Bethany Elsey, our news reader, has just pointed out, he's denied those charges. OK, Faye, where would you like to go next? Let's have a look at The Guardian now, and, of course, badged as The Observer on a Sunday. Starmer to demand a halt to autumn hike in energy prices, and Rushdie had started to believe his life was normal again, comments he made in an interview just 2 weeks ago. Let's go to the Sunday Express now, always worth a read. They always pack a punch. Truss, I'm on your side. Everyone can thrive, Liz Truss pledge, as Sunday Express endorses her as the right person to be our next Prime Minister. Also, a chilling headline on the front page of the Sunday Express. You are next. Threat to J.K. Rowling after Rushdie horror. She received an online threat via Twitter that she'd be next. Truly chilling and completely unacceptable and reprehensible. OK, where should we go next? Let's have a look now at the Sun newspaper. Max has cheated on me with Maisie. Ex-Stacey blasts Strictly Star. OK, and how about the Star now? We could do with some levity on this day of challenging headlines. And the Star have come through with interest. There's only 2 Georgie Bests. Spooked Alex Best says she's been haunted by the ghost of her footy legend ex-hubby and another bloke who's also called George Best. By George, what are the chances of that? And those are your front pages. Well, Leo, let's start with that chilling attack on Sir Salman Rushdie. The Observer with more.
Yeah, so the man suspected of stabbing the novelist, Salman Rushdie, at a literary festival in New York on Friday faces charges of attempted murder and assault, authorities said on Saturday. So obviously now he's been charged. We've got to be careful about how we refer to it, which is why, you know, they're saying suspected. So, you know, regardless of what you saw, you know, that's how we've got to refer to it. So he's called Hadi Matar. He's 24. He's of Fairview, New Jersey. And officials haven't specified why they think Matar may have wanted to kill Rushdie, who's been under a fatwa issued by, I believe, an Iranian Ayatollah since 1989.
Ayatollah Khomeini.
But according to reports, the suspected killer's social media activities suggest an admiration of Iran and an attraction to Shia extremism. So, you know, we all thought it could be fundamentalist Mormons or somebody like that, but no. Apparently, it's an Islamic extremist who's done this, and it was interesting when it first happened. Obviously, it was shocking, but questions we're all sort of asking. You know, who was it? What did he look like? And because it's a literary festival, they're so woke. None of the witnesses would come out and say, you know, he looked like he could be hanging off the back of a Toyota Hilux with an AK-47. Nobody was willing to say that, but now we do know.
You don't think this could have been attacked by the Quakers because they're notoriously belligerent, aren't
they? Or the Amish? The Amish? I mean, they used
feisty.
They used the
I've seen
blade.
the pictures, Leo, and in this case, the guy was from Lebanon. He looked like a European.
He looked like David Blaine.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So he looked like a normal person. He wasn't that way. This thing is the most horrific story because it could have been avoided. And when the Iranian government says that we want that they wanted one of our citizens killed, we should have done something right then and there, which is say, anybody who even mentions this, we are going to kill. And maybe that's a bit extreme.
Well, certainly jail.
Yeah,
I mean,
punish them.
That's one of the headlines, isn't it, in the Sunday Telegraph, Lewis Schaefer. Sanction Iran over Rushdie stabbing, says Tory leadership hopeful Rishi Sunak.
That's sanction them. That's a bit too late. This has been going on for 40 years, for 33 years, I guess, 1989. So the fact that unfortunately, I shouldn't say this because they might come after me. But
say it. Come on, you've not got long.
But you always come into the building.
It's better you than a young man like me.
Two security guards.
Well, you're always around muscly men, aren't you? So I don't know if it's security or a lifestyle choice, but you're hard to get near.
Is that when this happened, we should have said, we British people, we American people, should have said, hey, the next person who mentions this guy should be killed, we are going to kill.
It's a little inflammatory, don't you think?
Yes. It is inflammatory.
Well, you're going down the eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth route.
You know what? This isn't an act of war. This isn't just a murder. The fact is, Iran said that they weren't involved in this whole business.
They gave a $3 million bounty. There's been a $3 million bounty to whoever commits this act, whoever kills Salman Rushdie. That's the official Iranian state policy. I mean, this is insanity, and this is ideologically driven. So Iran is a theocratic society. It's an Islamic state. And, I just think Western liberal democracy, tolerance, equality, the freedom to speak our mind and have differences of opinion is such a rare and precious thing. Like, it's not existed historically for very long. It doesn't exist geographically for very far. So I think we need to work to preserve it because, we're seeing our culture changing from wokists on one side, Islamists on the other side. The band of acceptable speech and opinion is getting narrower and narrower.
I think, Leo, that is not the issue. I think you're right about that. That's all good stuff, that we're free speech. The fact is that they've been threatening a British citizen.
Yeah. A
sir, saying we're going to kill him, making his life impossible, and then actually somebody going out and doing it. They should have been held responsible.
Sunday Mirror reporting that J.K. Rowling has received a death threat. She's tweeted about this, hasn't she?
She's received a chilling death threat from an Islamist extremist after she showed support for Salman Rushdie. So she was told, "You're next," on social media by an extremist based in Pakistan who praised Rushdie's attack and pledged allegiance to Iran's theocratic dictator Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. So it makes a nice change from trans rights activists in Putney.
Who are much scarier, by the way.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess the good news is that by 2050, the largest religion in the UK at current trends will be Islam. So this will be used to it by then. But it's interesting that publishers in 1989, when the fatwa was issued against Salman Rushdie, publishers stood by him. They risked their lives. Some of them lost their lives. I think the Japanese publisher and the Turkish translator were killed, or 37 people were killed in an attempt to kill the Turkish translator. But they stood by their principles and stood by free speech and published Salman Rushdie's book, and now they won't even acknowledge that J.K. Rowling exists. You know, she's erased from the history of Harry Potter. She's not at the film screenings. You know, they're not even allowed to mention her in press conferences. So it's just interesting how the arts have joined in on the censorship.
Yeah, including placating Islamic extremists.
Yeah, and by the way,
we've seen a cinema group cancel a film because it was deemed acceptable to a tiny minority of the population.
Yeah, and on a lower level, it doesn't get the headlines anywhere near as much. But recently, Crack House Comedy in Kuala Lumpur was shut down permanently.
I used to do a lot of closing 20s there, by the way.
Well, no, I've gigged there a lot.
Pay you in cash.
No, they do. I've gigged there a lot.
Have you really?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, there's a great little
Crack House.
Crack House Comedy in Kuala Lumpur.
You get paid in crack? I mean, what?
No, you get paid in renminbi or whatever the local currency is.
And
but there's a circuit through Southeast Asia or whatever. like whatever the currency is, you get paid in a big stack of that. But there's a circuit through Southeast Asia. Crackers Comedy in Kuala Lumpur was shut down because somebody got on stage and said something that was deemed to be Islamophobic. She took off her headscarf and was wearing Western clothing underneath at an open mic night. And because of that, the owners had to go into hiding. He's received death threats. There's been paint splashed on the club.
Shocking. Yeah. See, I'm with Leo with the free speech issue. Totally, we all are. But this is not a free speech issue. You can't threaten somebody with harm, whether it's anyone, you can't. And I think when that happens, we have to take action. If you don't take action, we get what we deserve. Salman Rushdie is totally harmed by this thing. We should have done something in 1989.
There are thousands of people on Twitter openly celebrating Salman Rushdie's attempted murder.
We can't control the world.
But Twitter could take action against those people, but it doesn't. But it'll take action against Donald Trump.
Instead, it wants to take action against people who think that lockdowns would be really bad for the economy.
Yeah, I mean, lockdowns sort of done.
People.
But like Trump, Trump was told, we were told Trump is incredibly dangerous. He's getting people to storm the. Trump basically said, have a nice day, be a patriot. He didn't say go and do this thing. And there just seems a complete imbalance. It seems there's certain opinions that aren't touched and are just left alone, even though they're incredibly poisonous.
You know what, Leo? You're making it a different moral issue. The moral issue is you can't allow people to go and threaten other people's lives. That's a criminal issue. That isn't up to private business like Twitter. It's up to the government of the country, the police force, to go.
We can't police in Pakistan.
No, so I'm saying let them say whatever they want to say, but make sure that person can never come to this country, and make sure if the government of Pakistan supports that kind of talk, then we should penalize those people.
And actually, you had similar tough words at the time of 9/11, didn't you? I remember you talking about that, about the strong American response because of what happened in New York, which is your home state.
Exactly, which is what we should be. Actually, a similar thing happened in 1993, where they blew up a lot of the World Trade Center, but it didn't make the news because it wasn't the visuals weren't as brilliant. I'm an extremist because I'm a small, weak man. So I want other people to go out.
Well, no, what you're standing up for is Western values of freedom of speech and liberalism, which appears to be under attack.
No, I am not. I said it twice.
Actually, the only thing
you didn't listen.
No, what you really care about is Louis Schaefer.
No, that is true. But what I really care about is that you can't threaten someone's life.
Yeah.
And that's. Or physically attack them.
You can't. Leo, I must find out about your comedic adventures in the Far East on another occasion.
Well, fun enough, I did underground shows in Brunei where comedy's banned, and you feel more free on stage in an Islamic theocracy where comedy's banned than you do in some parts of London.
I bet you. Islington is like, the caliphate will take you down. Yeah. Brilliant stuff. Look, let's crack on with a few more stories before the break. The Sunday Telegraph now, and let's have a look at the powers of the Bank of England, Lewis.
Well, this is an interesting story because I didn't, it was written in the Telegraph and it was basically about finance and it was so poorly written. Basically, it's like basically saying that Liz Truss wants to review the Bank of England's mandate to
control inflation,
to act independently.
Oh, right, yeah.
Okay, which is an interesting thing because. But at the end of the day, why does Liz Truss care about them acting independently? Because Liz Truss wants to spend more money. That's the impression that I get. Is that the impression?
Well, some people think that the Bank of England have got their modelling wrong about the threat of inflation, that they underestimated the threat of inflation a year ago.
Yeah.
And they could have raised interest rates and pulled back on quantitative easing. They didn't. And now we've got double-digit inflation or close to.
But do you think that was the bank?
The Bank of England cannot be trusted to control inflation. So maybe the government should get back in there and direct what happens at
and who proposed all the spending that took place during COVID?
Boris Johnson.
Boris Johnson. So what does it matter whether the Bank of England is doing it? Is Liz Truss?
Well, the Bank of England control interest rates. So perhaps the argument is that either the role of the Bank of England changes so that they don't have this figure of 2% inflation as the holy grail. Possibly it goes back to the Treasury and the Chancellor to set interest rates.
But that's the impression that you get, that the bank controls interest rates, but there are so many bigger market factors involved that force interest rates to be set where they're set. The Bank of England can just manipulate it just ever so slightly, 0.25%, when things are going well. When things aren't going well, like they're going now, they have to raise the interest rates. Otherwise...
For sure. But some would say it's too little, too late. And, you know, look, you've been in Whitehall, obviously, Leo, in the Foreign Office.
Yeah, that's right.
So what are your thoughts about stripping the Bank of England of its rather autonomous remit when it comes to the controlling of inflation?
I thought you were going to say stripping as a means of making money during the cost of living crisis.
By the way, on that, do you think maybe next time you do headliners you'll wear clothes?
It's very warm. It's very warm.
I make up for it.
I've actually... viewers can't see your shorts, but I had no idea you were that religion, so congratulations. Muzzle off.
Well,
Can I get a look? Can I get a look myself?
Yeah, definitely. During the ad break, I'll show you everything.
Well, I don't think any time that politicians and prime ministers, world leaders take control of central banks and set interest rates themselves is good for the economy. I think independent central banks always do better than somebody who's tweaking the knobs to suit their own political ends. I mean, look at Turkey, where they've got rampant inflation.
Fair point, a straight answer to a straight question. Let's have a look now at the Sunday Telegraph and the price of petrol. Leo.
Yeah, talking of inflation, apparently drivers should be paying 25 pence less per litre for fuel because retailers have failed to pass on a 20% drop in wholesale petrol prices, according to MPs. So the profit margin on unleaded petrol is the largest in basically a decade. So basically prices went up. Wholesale petrol prices went up. So then the retailer, the price you pay at the pump, that went up as well. And now wholesale petrol prices have gone down, but the price at the pump is still high because, you know, the retailers are like, well, we can just keep it high. People are used to it. They're paying it. So we'll make all that extra money. I mean, which is great if you've got shares in a petrol company, which I do, but it's bad if you're paying for petrol.
And it's great news for the eco-zealots who want the price of petrol to stay high forever.
Yeah, to stop people using as much.
Yeah, except for the elite.
Can I ask
go around ad infinitum, ad nauseam.
Can I ask a question about this? Are you saying, Leo,
I'm so sorry we don't take questions.
Oh, sorry. Are you saying that this company, that these companies, petrol selling companies, are trying to make as much money as possible?
Yeah, I believe they are. But the thing is, I mean, fair enough, making money is a great thing. Yeah. I love it. I'm a capitalist. Make as much money as you can. But when it's a fixed market, they can act like a cartel sometimes.
How is it a fixed market?
Well, instead of competition... I'm not saying they're fixing it, but instead of competition bringing the prices down to, you know, so because you'll always go to a cheaper place, they're all sort of looking at each other in a sort of Mexican standoff, like the three Spider-Men.
And you don't think Heinz Beans is not looking at the other beans company?
Well,
you don't think that carrot companies aren't looking at other carrot companies? This is the way business works.
Yeah, but we have like competition rules.
Sainsbury's gets expensive. You can go to Tesco. We don't have that with petrol.
And eventually it will happen. It does happen.
It needs to happen now.
Prices go down, they go up, they go down, especially with oil prices. They're very, very fluid. This is only...
Do you know something? The cost of petrol is a real concern. I'm a bit worried also about the cost of real McCoy crisps and Diet Coke as well.
Yeah, and of course the cost of petrol and diesel feeds through into higher costs for everything because it's got to be driven around the country in big trucks.
Honestly, Michael McIntyre comedy CDs, I mean, petrol stations, cheap flowers.
Is there competition?
You've got no idea. Soon we'll be listening to Leo Kearse comedy CDs. Worth every penny. The Mail on Sunday next, and the FBI raid on Donald Trump continues to make headlines, Lewis, in your former homeland.
Well, do you want to know something? This was one of the saddest days of my life, honestly, as an American, you know, and as I know, I love Britain. Britain is the greatest country in the world because it created America. And the fact that they invaded Donald Trump's home to get boxes of stuff that he... Of course, everybody takes stuff from wherever they go. You don't invade the home of the ex-president of the United States to find out what he's taken.
Lewis has got a lot of GB News paper clips.
We all have stolen stuff. You know, I've worked. You know, that's the worst. That's the worst thing about having a job is like being fired and realizing you haven't stolen enough stuff while you were there.
By the way, is that Colin Brazier's tie you're wearing?
I don't know. It's a beautiful tie.
It is. It suits him better. But listen, this is the problem. Is that it appears to be a very political move by the FBI, possibly egged on by the White House.
Of course, the White House doesn't even need to egg on because they're all of a one-a-muchness. These people hate Donald Trump. They're my friends in New York, and I've got many. I don't have many friends, but I have friends. I knew people in New York, and they're all left. A lot of them, half of them are left-wing, incredibly left-wing. And you mention Donald Trump, and they will unfriend you. They're so obsessed with it. And
it's not rational, is it? I mean, the guy's not perfect, but they have what I would call Trump derangement syndrome.
Yes, that's exactly what they have.
He's just a cool guy who likes to party. I don't know what the fuss is about. I'll tell you what Donald Trump should have done. He should have stored the documents on Hunter Biden's laptop or Hillary Clinton's email servers, because they never got... Hillary Clinton was smashing phones with a hammer. She was like Rebecca Vardy trying to destroy evidence. It's insane. But then, you know, Trump gets, 11 sensitive documents, like secret, top secret and confidential. It's not the biggest deal.
I have to correct you on that. Rebecca Vardy lost those documents in the sea. Good friend of mine. Hashtag pray for Rebecca. Coming up, the American governor who's finishing Trump's border wall, the squeeze in university places, and the rise in gout. Makes me wince just thinking about it. Lots more to come from these two. See you in 2 minutes.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. You've been cancelled. Join the club.
Oh my goodness, brilliant.
And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panelists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Hi there, it's Stephen and Anne.
At breakfast from 6 a.m, you'll always be caught up with everything you need to know, the latest headlines, opinions and debates.
We'll bring you the good news and the bad, but most of all, we're here for you.
Remember, send in your views and let us know what you would like us to talk about.
That's because we're your news channel. And every morning at 6 a.m, it's breakfast on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
I'm Mark Dolan, and this is Headliners, your first look at tomorrow's papers. Helping me do just that are the brilliant comedians Lewis Schaefer and Leo Kearse. The Sunday Mirror now, and it looks like Boriss needs advice, and a lot of it, Lewis. Boriss, who's he?
Does Boriss need advice? Well, this is according to the Mirror. Angela Rayner, who was the person who ran against Keir Starmer, right?
For the leadership. She's now deputy leader, isn't she?
Yeah, she's super upset that Boris Johnson has more special advisors than ever, okay?
Than any government in history, apparently. In
history, in any British government. I assume the American has more special advisors.
Yeah, communist governments definitely would have more.
Yeah. 126 special advisors. So how do you speak to 126 special advisors? Or they're in some kind of theater talking to you.
Yeah.
Just too many of them.
And they won't be on less than 50 grand a year, will they? So that really adds up.
Way more.
It says it's 12.7 million pounds. And Angela Rayner, who's Labour, says that Labour would do a better job with money.
Well, I think she might do a better job with special advisors. I've got some experience of this. When I worked as a criminal intelligence analyst, Ken Livingstone, who was an independent and then a Labour mayor of London, he came to speak at policing conferences, and he knew everything inside and out. When Boriss took over as mayor of London, he didn't even come and speak himself. He sent his deputy, Kelt Malthouse, and even his deputy didn't know as much inside and out as Ken Livingstone did. So, for as much as, I disagree with Ken Livingstone on a lot of, big issues, as a technocrat, as somebody with an attention for detail, he was very good. And I think, this is one of Boris's failings. He's got no attention to detail and even the people. So then he just hires people in to do it for him. But they don't really care. They just want to get the salary and have a nice time. So they're not doing
It reminds me of those really bad TV comedy shows. No offence, folks. But, if you've ever worked on a TV production where they've just got hundreds of writers and they still can't make the show funny. It feels a little bit like that with the sort of the latter days of Boris Johnson's premiership. He just limped from one self-inflicted crisis to another.
Look, we've got bloated.
Loads of Boris fans watching. Some people deeply angry that he's not going to be our Prime Minister anymore. But I think that this is not a good look for Bojo, is it? That over 100 advisors?
Yeah, I mean, Boris is great at certain things. Some of his big ideas are great. I think as a speaker and as a personality, his charisma is fantastic. But when it comes to the actual nitty-gritty of government and getting things done, I don't think he's the best. But then I like governments that don't do much.
Well, there you go.
I'm the same as you.
Get out of my way.
But do you think, I was wrong when I said how many special advisors he had, 126. He had 43. But do you think that Labour's going to get rid of him with Keir Starmer? Do you think Keir Starmer's going to go, no, I can't have 43?
Well, it's funny you should say that, because Liz Truss said in an interview this week that she would reduce the size of the number 10 operation and that she would delegate to cabinet ministers again and have proper cabinet government.
She can say whatever she wants to say.
It's true. She's in election mode, isn't she? As are we. The Sunday Mail next, the Mail on Sunday, and a new law to bring harsh punishment to those who harass women, Leo.
Yeah, so men who sexually harass women in public, I think it's still OK to do it in private, could face up to 2 years in prison under new government rules. So the crimes include following someone, making obscene comments or gestures, cornering someone, or deliberately following someone slowly in your car. These are listed as possible offences. So, I'm surprised. I thought these would be offences already. They all sound like,
I feel a bit annoyed. My car is very slow anyway, so I drive a Prius.
Is that your excuse?
This is
very
the thing.
underpowered.
Well, so many places in London have got this 20 miles an hour limit now. So, you could be going at the same speed as a jogger. You could get picked up for curb crawling when you're just trying to stick to the speed limit.
Yeah, definitely. Look, it's crazy, I think, and needs to be looked at. Let's have a look at the Sunday Telegraph now, and a disease associated with medieval kings is back thanks to new eating trends, Lewis. And this, I think, is a bit of an area of expertise on your part.
It is an area of expertise because I have gout. I've got high uric acid levels, which I'm working to reduce, and it's basically saying that people are getting sick and dying because they're eating too much food. This is what this article said, but it's not about eating too much food. It's eating the wrong kinds of food, it comes from eating too much fructose, too much sugar. And what gout is, people talk about gout as if it's one little thing. You got a bad toe, and that's a problem. The real problem is that gout is that by raising your uric acid level, you get fat, and by getting fat, you get diabetes, and you get cancer, and you die. And so it's a huge problem. And the Daily Mirror, like every mainstream newspaper, doesn't understand the problem. The problem is, they said specifically in this article, it said bouts can be triggered by drinking alcohol, true, or foods that cause a buildup of uric acid, such as red meat, offal, and seafood, which is like in the past 2 years when there's been an incredible gain, have people been eating a lot of red meat, offal, and seafood? No. No one's, the amount of meat that people are eating is going way, way
Well, they're
down.
trying to stop us eating meat. They're replacing it with all this Beyond Meat. You go to the supermarket, there's just row upon row of this like vegan stuff, and it's just sitting there unsold because nobody wants to eat your mushy,
my local supermarket
fake
has
burger.
vegan bacon, and the first two ingredients are water and sunflower oil.
Oh my God!
It's not even. I'm not sure you could call it food. Yeah. In fact, interesting. Speaking of food, in Ireland, the Irish authorities don't allow one particular sandwich chain to call their bread rolls bread anymore because there's so much sugar in it. It doesn't classify
as bread.
as
It's
bread.
like pastry. That's
It's
Subway.
almost
that is Subway.
confectionery.
Right.
Yes, I mean I didn't mention them, but why don't you? Because
I'll mention it.
You can have your day in court.
So the point is,
it's a true story.
So to walk away from this, meat, and you're going to get letters because I'm going to say this goes against conventional knowledge, and you can Google it yourself. Meat is not the primary driver of gout.
Gout, by the way, very painful, and it was associated, Leo, with kings and millionaires.
Who's the big fat one? King Henry VIII.
Henry VIII.
Henry VIII.
Yeah. But now people who are food poor today are getting gout. So how can that?
And I don't believe this food poor thing. They say, oh, it's so expensive to eat healthily. Yeah. It's like, you know, when you eat poor, you eat more calories. It's like, surely whatever calories you're eating, it's going to be cheaper to eat less of them.
And to eat better quality food than what they're eating, processed food. The reason why Henry VIII got gout wasn't because of the meat he was eating, because all the people at the time were eating meat. They were eating sugar. Nobody had sugar back in the day. It was a processed food.
Except rich people, aristocrats,
rich people,
and the monarchy.
Let them eat cake.
To that. There you go. Let them eat cake, indeed. The Mail on Sunday now, and the hard-working A-level students could miss out on a place at oversubscribed universities, Leo.
Yeah, so apparently there's going to be 80,000 fewer top A-levels handed out next week. So teenagers face the most competitive ever race for degrees places, and 60,000 face missing first-choice university places. I didn't really understand this because, you know, surely if people are doing worse in their exams, it's going to be easier to get into the place because the competition is going to be worse. It's going to be like the Women's World Cup. But apparently it's because people deferred from previous years because there was like the COVID phenomenon. Let's not call it a pandemic. It was a fad. It was a mania. It was a mania. So there's that, and also people in previous years got really good results because teachers weren't there. You know, everybody's on slacking off. They're just doing it over Zoom. So they're just like, yeah, you have an A star. You have an A star. You know what I mean? So
what are you saying? You're saying because grades are so poor.
Yeah. So they're competing with people from previous years.
Oh, I see.
Because people deferred their
we
places.
said it would be unfair, and hey presto, that's how it will pan out.
But yeah, don't go to university. Or wait until you're like 25 and you've got an idea of what you want to do. Like go and study, but learn how to drive a forklift, learn how to do plumbing, something like that.
Yeah. Let university pass. Let it pass, and you'll be all right.
Drive one of those big cranes. Imagine how fun that would be. And like you get loads of money for it.
It's a great shout. It's a great shout. Did you go to university, Leo?
Yeah.
You did.
And I wish I'd...
Because I debated it on my show yesterday. I'm not sure that now, if I was a young person, I would go to university. I think it's great if you want to be a lawyer, a doctor, or an architect.
Oh, yeah, do a proper degree, like law, medicine, architect. Well, maybe not architecture, but, you know, law and medicine, fantastic degrees. But yeah, I did film and media studies at the University of Stirling, and then came out of there into Scotland's film industry. And, you know, like, I didn't, you know...
Because you're young. I've got two children, and I'm faced with that debate right now. One of them is at university, but he's perfectly suited there because he's a nerd. And
where he gets that from?
And the other one, who was really good-looking and very muscly, and not me, and we don't know who the father is. He's not at uni. But
and that's important. I think why should it be a given that you just automatically go to university? I think we just take each young person and look at it on its merits.
I agree with you. I think today, some men need to go to university. All women need to go to university because where else are they going to get that debt from?
Correct. Well said. Did you go to university, by the way?
I did go to university.
Where did NYU or where did you go?
No, I went to a school. I'm not going to mention the name because, but I went to a very prestigious school among underachievers.
I tell you what,
the number one school at the time.
Sounds like the place to be. Yeah. I'm sure it made Animal House look like a hard-hitting documentary. Over in the States, one governor is finishing the job started by Trump. Leo, tell me more. Not Leo, forgive me, Lewis. Tell me more about this.
Well, what's going on is, this is the most shocking thing, that people have no idea that this Arizona governor is filling a 1,000-foot gap in the wall that Donald Trump didn't get a chance to finish, right?
Yep.
And he was waiting for the Biden administration to work on it. And that's the shocking thing, that Joe Biden, the guy who hated building the wall, we're not going to build that wall, is actually building the wall around the United States.
How bad is this problem of illegal immigration into America?
Well, I think it depends, if you're a racist or not. But I think the problem is the problem is going to be a problem for Democrats. Because all those people who are coming into America, they are not people who are coming for benefits. They're not people who are do-nothings, who are just trying to take advantage of the system. They're people who believe in the American dream.
Yeah.
And once they get into America, they want to keep the American dream going, and they're not going to vote for the Democrats.
Well, that's what they're finding. So the Republican support is going up amongst Hispanics,
especially by the border,
because they got family values and they work hard, and like you say, they believe in the American dream. They don't want to destroy Western liberal democracy. They've seen the alternative. If you come from Venezuela or whatever, you see what it is. And what's interesting is Arizona have been sending busloads of people coming over the border, as the federal government hasn't helped them close the border. So they've been sending busloads of these illegal immigrants to Washington, D.C., to the seat of power, to say, well, if you're going to let them come in, you can have them.
Yeah, I mean, why is this even a debate? Countries have borders, and you need a passport to enter that country, and there's special dispensation if you're in fear of your life, and therefore you'll have grounds for asylum. Why have the West taken their eye off the ball when it comes to policing their borders?
And
why is it controversial to do just that?
We hate ourselves, and so we're willing to be you. We're like a loose woman who just wants who doesn't believe in themselves, who will let anybody take advantage of it.
So it's a self-esteem issue. Leo, I think this will be a factor in the 2024 US elections, and I think it will be a factor in the next British election as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it's an issue that's going away for either country. But the West is facing a demographic time bomb, so we're not having enough kids. So we need able-bodied people to come in and do the jobs because we're just not producing enough people.
No,
I think a better solution would be to encourage people to have children instead of saying, "Oh, we're not having kids. Let's replace them with people from radically different cultures."
Can I just correct Leo?
Correct away.
I'm going to correct Leo. Where you say we need to bring people in. We don't need to bring people in. It's just way cheaper to bring a fully grown dude from Albania in than raise some scraggly, horrible child.
Or Lewis Schaefer, who arrived here in the early 2000s. And God bless you for that.
He's got rid of the Albanian accent.
Become a British national treasure. We love Lewis Schaefer, as do we love the wonderful Leo Kirst. They both returned for our final part. We've saved our best till last. Coming up, comedians in trouble at the Edinburgh Fringe. A legend of comedy, Jerry Sadowitz, cancelled. Find out more about that shortly. The man cave that's to be torn down, and why young people are looking for non-alcoholic alternative drinks. How boring. See you in 2.
Yeah.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday. And there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. You've been cancelled. Join the club.
Oh, my goodness me.
And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Hi there, it's Stephen and Anne.
At breakfast from 6 a.m, you'll always be caught up with everything you need to know, the latest headlines, opinions and debates.
We'll bring you the good news and the bad, but most of all, we're here for you.
Remember, send in your views and let us know what you would like us to talk about.
That's because we're your news channel. And every morning at 6 a.m, it's breakfast on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
I'm Mark Dolan, and you're watching Headline as your first look at tomorrow's papers. Tonight, in the company of the gigantically talented comedians Lewis Schaefer and Leo Kearse. And let's now dive into the weird news of the day, the Scottish Express, and the legend that is Jerry Sadowitz. Leo, tell me more.
Yeah, so controversial Scots comedian Jerry Sadowitz, who's an absolute titan. You know, he's the guy who's sort of the precursor to Frankie Boyle, and incredibly funny comedian. He's been cancelled by the Edinburgh Fringe after complaints from audience members and venue staff. So they said he got his penis out on stage and used unacceptable language. But no, I mean, like every time I've seen him, he gets his penis out on stage.
And uses unacceptable language.
He said in the flyer he'd get his penis out on stage. His show was called Not For Anyone. Like, you know, when you're going to see Jerry Sadowitz, it's going to be shocking. It's going to be disgusting. It's incredibly funny, though. Yeah. It's impossible to dissect. And when you see it written down on the page, it sounds horrific and racist and shocking.
And it is horrific.
But it is. But the alchemy of it, it works. I think because he's such a low-status person, everywhere he punches is up. And he punches everywhere. It's an incredible tour de force. It's like a religious experience watching it. It's just incredible. But he's been banned by the Pleasance. So the Pleasance director, and this is, man, we're seeing way more people getting banned now. It's shocking. You know, it used to be the old guard, you know, Roy Chubby Brown and stuff, but now they're coming for people like Jerry Sadowitz. The director of the Pleasance, Anthony Alderson, said, "The Pleasance is a venue that champions freedom of speech, and we do not censor comedians' material. But the material presented at his first show is not acceptable and does not align with our values. So we will not be presenting his show." It's like, you just said you didn't censor material, then in the second paragraph, in the same breath, you said you censored this material. Are you nuts? Like, this is and also these idiots, do they not understand? Do they not go and look and see who they're booking? I mean, who's been in comedy for 20 years and doesn't know who Jerry Sadowitz is? I've been going to see him since my mum used to take him to see him.
And they
when I'm a kid.
hired him. I think most of the people don't know how the Fringe works. We know how the Fringe works.
Yeah.
It's like all these different promoters putting on shows. So it's this guy, and this guy is one of the top 5 promoters. The Pleasance. They've got amazing venues, amazing acts, and for them to do this, you know what?
I mean, did he say anything racist?
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But I can't explain it. You can't dissect comedy like this. It's like dissecting a frog. Like, the frog dies and nobody's happy. You can't dissect comedy. I don't know who that quote's from. Sorry for ripping it off. But, you know, on the page, it looks terrible. Taken out of context, a lot of comedy looks terrible. But in person, on stage, it completely works. And it's the most hilarious thing I've ever seen. And it's so sad to see him cancelled.
If he says something that's xenophobic, Jerry Sadowitz is slightly a character, isn't he? Sort of fantastical caricature of a comedian and persona. And secondly, it'll be ironic and tongue-in-cheek and deliberately naughty. Exactly like Jimmy Carr's joke about the Holocaust. Jimmy Carr does not think it was great that many gypsies were murdered during the Holocaust, but it seems that the woke censors didn't get the memo. Yeah,
although Jimmy Carr's coming from a high-status position, like Jerry Sadowitz is really in the gutter, just urinating on everyone.
But they're both jokes.
Yeah.
Whether Jimmy Carr says it or whether Jerry Sadowitz says it.
Go on, Leo.
This guy, Jerry Sadowitz, he's insulted me to my face. He's accused me of stealing jokes. He's a horrible human being. But it makes you lose faith in everyone. This guy who runs the Pleasance is a bright guy. He should know better than this.
Yes. I mean, I think for comedy, this is we've seen Salman Rushdie being stabbed. This is the constraints coming in from the other side.
It's crazy. And look, I don't want to labour this because we've got some other great stories to get through, but this is also Scotland dumping a pile of the brown stuff on one of their own.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, it's the Edinburgh Festival, the greatest cultural event on the planet.
Yeah.
Biggest comedy festival in the world. And this is a Scottish creative icon. I mean, you don't have to love the guy, but you can respect his status.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a true original.
And if you don't like him, don't go and see him. I don't like sushi. I don't go to sushi restaurants, eat the sushi, and then say I hate it and the sushi restaurant should be shut down. I don't go and eat sushi.
And it's Scotland, of course, which is the birthplace of Billy Connolly, who recently said that he wouldn't be able to say any of those things he said in the 70s and 80s if he were working now.
Yeah, and Frankie Boyle.
Is that progress?
Frankie Boyle wouldn't be able to get going now. It's sad. And I think,
but Frankie Boyle's got double standards because then he likes censoring other comedians like Ricky Gervais for being allegedly transphobic whilst doing rape jokes about Holly Willoughby.
Yeah.
You can't have it both ways. I'm looking forward to comedy's future in the woke world. Those are the words of Nika Burns, director of the Edinburgh Comedy Awards, just 2 years ago.
She's a complete irrelevance now. The Edinburgh Fringe is over. Like the SNP have put a nail in it by restricting the amount of accommodation so that there's not enough space for audiences and acts. But also, just this nobody wants to go and see woke comedy. It's like women's football. It gets written about like The Guardian, but it's rubbish.
Those England Lionesses, if you're watching, I apologise. The Independent now, and sadly it looks like the UK's best man cave days are numbered. Lewis.
Well, this is in Wales. It has to be noted that it's in Wales. Some rich guy builds a huge sports complex in his backyard, and he's been asked to take it down. He said he didn't know he needed planning permission for it. And anybody from any other part of the world doesn't know this about Britain. But you need planning permission to plan for permission. Everything is planning permission. This is the thing. So for this guy, the chutzpah of this guy to say, I didn't know it needed planning permission to build a building.
Yeah, and it was a pretty big building. I mean, you think a man cave is going to be like a shed with maybe a plasma TV in it. This thing had a bowling alley, a cinema, squash courts, a private casino, and a bar. I mean, can we just sell it directly to the Genting Club Group?
It's true. It's a very good shout, for whom I've done many gigs. What a lovely company. The Independent now, and sadly it looks like, oh no, we've done that one, forgive me. Let's move on to The Observer, and Brexit never seems to go away. This time it's a problem for our zoos.
Yeah, so with people getting stabbed on stage, people getting cancelled from stage, the Guardian decides that the biggest problem is that orangutans can't have sex with each other because of Brexit. So because of Brexit, there's red tape around transporting animals across country lines. Basically, zoos worldwide, they have a very small gene pool because there's not that many animals. So they've got to get a lemur in Hamburg to mate with a lemur in the Bronx or whatever it is. And because of Brexit, it's added restrictions on the travel of these animals. So even the ones that can fly themselves, they can't do it.
Can we now talk about monkeypox? This is in the Sunday Express, possibly getting a rebrand, Lewis Schaefer.
Well, you know what? I try not to pay attention to monkeypox because it's like COVID. It's like, maybe they should change the name to this is the new COVID. It's just trying to get people worked up into a frenzy. And it's like, what are you supposed to change? Chicken pox because it offends chickens? You got chicken? What are you, a coward? You got chicken pox? They changed it to turkey pox as a bit bigger animal. I don't know.
Turkey pox is less fattening, I think, than chicken pox.
It's a bit scarier than chicken pox.
Yeah.
Or smallpox. Maybe you could say it's,
Smallpox is a bad one, isn't it?
I mean, I think
it's a bad one.
It's one of the bad poxes.
Maybe
it's sizest.
Yeah.
But I think the problem with changing the name of monkeypox at this stage in the pandemic is, we're used to it being called monkeypox, and nobody thinks that they're saying we want to avoid causing offence to any cultural, social, national, regional, professional, or ethnic groups. I don't know what professional group would be offended by the word monkey. I mean, what? The Association of Chartered Monkeys. Yeah. This is insanity. So they're really worried about anybody getting hurt feelings. But what about the monkeypox? Shouldn't we be worried about the monkeypox?
Yeah, but also, I mean, this is the astonishing thing about political correctness is that If somebody sees racism in the term monkeypox, then that is a profoundly racist person.
Yes.
Whose mind is working in a uniquely racist way.
Yeah.
And when monkeypox came along, I think most of us just thought, there you go, I guess it originates from monkeys.
Or it's spread through PG tips.
But other people thought it related to a certain group. You're totally right.
It's crazy. Although I did think you've got ape-like qualities, Lewis, and I mean that in a good way.
I probably do, you know.
Opposable thumbs.
I do. Did you see that?
But you've got very high muscle mass. You can climb trees quickly.
Yeah.
5.5%.
Here is
blood
the
sugar.
point. Can I just say something
enjoy a
to
banana?
you? Because you're open to these kind of crazy
Go
ideas.
for it. You've got a red bum.
I'm not saying
Still in
you
the monkeys.
I'm not saying you believe in these crazy ideas, but I think there's a really good chance there's no such thing as a virus. Maybe I've gone like over the edge.
Our fact checker said that this was not correct.
I said there's a chance.
I look forward to the emails about that one. The Sunday Times now, and it looks like young people are turning away from alcohol, Leo.
Well, this is interesting. I thought this was so the low and no alcohol sales have doubled in 2020 to 2021 to £217 million in the UK, according to market research. And I was thinking, this is because young people are becoming puritanical in what they imbibe, what they drink, as well as their attitudes to people's opinions. But actually, it's not. They're drinking beverages with herbal properties containing adaptogens, and an adaptogen is something that makes you feel hammered without being alcohol. So there's ashwagandha or CBD. So that's what Generation Z are choosing. So they're still getting wasted, just with a different type of chemical.
A different kind of drug.
It's just drinkable drugs.
Okay, it's like the people that used to say, I've given up smoking, I just have 11 cigars a day now.
But it says it's raised to £217 million a year, these kind of drinks, right?
Yeah.
But that's nothing. That's like Moore's drunk in Preston on a Thursday night.
More than I drink.
Yeah, exactly.
Lewis, let's see if we can squeeze a couple in before we go. The Mail on Sunday, and a council in Wales is ruining the fun for everyone.
Yeah, which is ironic, because if you go to Wales, it's this total design chaos. I know the other story also took place in Wales, where the guy built his man cave. But here, some farmer sets up this thing in his yard for camping, and he puts up a sign that says camp, and I'm going to... Doesn't know. How do you pronounce that?
Uncanny.
Llandudno.
North Wales.
Llandudno.
Llandudno.
You know how to pronounce this.
I think, no, I won't risk
this
it.
Is
I've
why
got
nobody,
too many friends in Wales to mess that one up.
Can I tell you something? This is why I've been to Wales many times. I dated a Welsh girl. It's fantastic country, fantastic people, really great. But no one visits there because they can't pronounce the names.
Yeah, and it's very hard on the sat-nav. Let's finish on, if we can, this accent story in the Sunday Mirror, Leo.
Yeah, so one Brit has vowed never to use a road tunnel, a toll tunnel again, after 103 unsuccessful attempts to pay the toll because the machine didn't recognise his accent. So he was looking forward to joining his family in Northumberland, but it didn't recognise his accent. Ironically, this was in Northumberland, where they have quite a strong accent. Yeah, I understand the pain. I mean, trying to book a cinema ticket in London with this accent, it's like, can I have 2 tickets to see Top Gun Maverick? Certainly. You have 2 tickets for Jurassic Park. It's the bane of my life. Nobody understands what I'm saying, apart from the good viewers of GB News.
Yeah, by the way, it's not Top Gun Maverick, though, is it? It's Big Bertha Gets Soapy.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is a classic. I'm waiting for the sequel.
Can I just say that you're incorrect. It is not in Northumberland. It was on Tyneside, which is in Geordieland.
Oh.
Did you know there's a tunnel in Newcastle?
There you go. Well, one of the most beautiful parts of the country. There you go. What an enlightening conversation. I mean, obviously, I didn't learn much, but I had some fun alongside the brilliant Leo Kearse and Lewis Schaefer. Gentlemen, do come back and see us soon. Of course, Headliners is a nightly event. We're back tomorrow at 11. I'm in the host's chair for my last one before September, and my last Mark Dolan tonight, tomorrow from 9. Can't wait to see you then.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.